I got home about an hour early that day. No big reason, just wrapped up my shift at the mountain rescue base a little faster than usual. It had been one hell of a week. 2 helicopter extractions, 1 night hike gone wrong, and 1 idiot who tried to climb a frozen waterfall in sneakers. Anyway, I was tired. Bone deep tired. All I wanted was a hot shower, a cold beer, and a couch that didn't judge. What I walked into instead. That's the moment everything cracked. The house smelled off. Not bad, just different. Like perfume. Not the kind I bought her. This was floral, sharp, expensive. And not mine. Rachel was in the kitchen, still wearing that black hoodie I got her a few anniversaries ago. She jumped a little when she saw me. "Hey, you're home early." "Yeah," I said, kicking my boots off. "No traffic. Figured I'd surprise you." She nodded, a little too fast. "Nice surprise." Except she didn't come over. Didn't hug me. Didn't kiss me like she always did. I noticed her wiping her neck. Subtle. Almost casual. But not enough. I went to wash my hands. That's when I saw them in the mirror. Marks. On her neck. Just faint enough that she probably thought they wouldn't show. But they did. And they weren't mine. Dinner was quiet. We ate spaghetti in front of the TV. She talked about work. I nodded. Smiled. Even laughed once. But inside, I was unraveling. I didn't ask anything. Didn't yell. Didn't accuse. I'm not that guy. I'm a former firefighter. Now I work search and rescue up in the Montana backcountry. You don't rush into a fire blind. You assess. You wait for the wind to shift. Then you move. So that night I waited. She went to bed early. I stayed up. Sat on the couch. Turned on the TV, muted it. Scrolled through my emails like a zombie. That's when I saw it. No sender name. No subject line. Just one line of text. "You deserve to know the truth." Inside was a link and a single sentence. "Your wife is cheating on you. Watch this. Alone." And I did. The video was short. Blurry at first. But then I saw her. Rachel. Laughing. Wearing the exact same black hoodie. And then he walked into frame. Tim. Her brother. My brother-in-law. And my partner. Same guy I've hiked frozen ravines with. Pulled half-dead hikers out of rock slides with. Shared MREs and blizzards and fire camps with. Now he was in my house. With my wife. I don't remember shutting the laptop. Don't remember walking out onto the porch. But I remember sitting down, barefoot, in 30-degree weather, staring at the woods. You'd think I'd feel rage. I didn't. Just silence. Like the kind after an explosion, when your ears are still ringing. And then clarity. You don't scream in a burning building. You find the exit. You make a plan. So that's what I did. I exhaled. Once. Twice. And I started counting. Not emotions. Moves. Funny how things make sense in reverse. Back then, I wasn't suspicious. Not really. I mean, sure, some things felt a little off. But you chalk it up to life. Stress. Routine. The usual. Marriage isn't a Hallmark card. We were solid, or so I thought. Rachel and I had been through a lot. 2 moves. My back injury after a rock slide. Her starting over in that wilderness therapy program. We had our rhythms. Morning coffee. Sunday hikes. Shared playlists on long drives. And then there was Tim. Tim was around a lot. But that made sense too. He was her brother and my closest buddy at the SAR unit. We'd worked together for years. He was the guy who talked me through the night my dad died. He was at our wedding, half drunk and crying during the vows. He even helped build the fire pit in our backyard. The three of us? We were tight. At least, that's what I thought. Looking back, I see it now. Little things. That weekend we all went camping near Flathead Lake. We split up to collect firewood. I came back early and saw them, just sitting together, heads close. They looked startled when they noticed me, like kids caught passing notes. But they laughed it off. Rachel made some joke about conspiring to hide my birthday present, and I bought it. Why wouldn't I? Then there were the shared shifts. Rescue calls can last hours, even days. Especially during avalanche season. The teams usually rotate. But suddenly, Rachel, who only did admin stuff and the occasional training, was volunteering for more and more ride-alongs. And somehow, always with Tim. She said it was to learn the field side of the job. Said she wanted to understand what I went through. And I wanted to believe her. Because I'm the idiot who still believed in trust. There were signs. They'd stop talking when I walked in. Laugh a little too hard at each other's jokes. Make inside references I didn't get. Rachel started putting her phone face down on the table. Taking more calls in the bedroom. Started leaving earlier. Coming home tired. Volunteer courses, she said. Wilderness trauma certification. I nodded, supported her, even packed her protein bars. Because love makes you dumb. Because marriage is built on 100 tiny surrenders. The day she came back with mud on her boots and her training was supposedly indoors, I asked gently, how'd the course go? She blinked. Oh good, long hike section. And smiled too quickly. That night, she passed out early. I sat in bed, staring at the ceiling. And for the first time, I asked myself something I'd never wanted to ask. Is something going on here? Of course, the answer didn't come that night. Not in words. But it started to show up everywhere. The way she avoided eye contact when I talked about our next trip. How she suddenly didn't want to plan for a second child. The way Tim looked away when I mentioned our anniversary. Like they were trying not to flinch. Still, I wanted to be wrong. I needed to be wrong. So I gave it time. Space. Even suggested Rachel and I take a weekend off, just the two of us. She said she couldn't. The new certification, remember? She smiled. That weekend, she left early Friday. And Sunday night, when she walked in, she had that same black hoodie on. Same faint perfume. Same tired smile. I hugged her anyway. I didn't know it then, not for sure. But deep down, something cracked. And once cracks form, the avalanche is just a matter of time. I didn't yell. Didn't throw anything. Didn't even ask her why. I just shifted gears. See, folks expect drama. A broken plate. A shouting match. Something messy. But not me. I'm not the type to swing wild. I'm the type to plan the fire break before the flames ever get close. So when I saw that footage, Rachel and Tim, laughing, tangled together in that cabin up by Elk Creek, I didn't punch walls. I exhaled. And started making a list. Step 1. Disappear in plain sight. I started by backing up everything, bank records, property deeds, insurance, her phone bills. Did it quietly. Encrypted files, multiple drives. One went to my buddy Jake. He used to be military intel, now works in cybersecurity. He didn't even ask questions, just said, "You're planning something." Smart. Next, money. Opened a new checking account under my middle name in a credit union 2 counties over. Redirected half my pay from the rescue unit. Just enough to move if I needed to. Not enough to trigger questions. Then I called in a favor from a friend up north, a regional director in the Bitterroot County SAR unit. Told him I was thinking about relocating, he said. Your resume lands on my desk, and the job's yours. No questions. So I sent it in, no fanfare, and waited. At home, I played it cool. I still kissed Rachel good morning. Still made coffee. Still fixed the loose board on the porch. Let her think I was tired. Let her think I was lost. She started talking to me differently, like I was fragile. Maybe you should talk to someone, she said one night. You've seemed quiet. I nodded. She took it as surrender. And Tim? He avoided me like I was radioactive. Wouldn't meet my eyes during shift handoffs. Cut back on joint ops. Started working remotely whenever I was scheduled. He knew. He knew I knew. But he didn't know what I'd do. That was the part that rattled him. 2 weeks later, I got the job offer. Bitterroot County. Full-time. Better pay. Housing stipend. No overlapping schedules with either of them. I accepted the offer without hesitation. Told the current unit I needed time off for family health issues. They understood. Good people. Deserve better than the drama. I cleaned out my locker at 3 a.m. Left my badge on the desk with a thank you note. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't owe them explanations. Rachel still thought I was processing. She started doing the dishes more. Wearing my hoodie. Trying to reel me back in. Too late. I'd already moved into a temporary cabin 3 towns over. My gear packed. A new duffel bag. A new number on a new SIM card. And I didn't feel broken. I felt focused. Like I was standing on a ridge, staring down a fire line. Knowing exactly where the wind would shift. Because once you stop reacting, you start planning. And that's when the game changes. You'd think cheating would be enough. But nah. She needed to rewrite the whole story. And guess who got cast as the villain? It started subtle. A buddy from our old SAR unit, Brian, stopped answering my texts. Then a joint search and wilderness grant I'd helped write. Yanked. No explanation. Finally, a recruiter I knew from an Alpine training center told me off the record. Hey man, I heard you're going through some stuff. They're saying you've got anger issues. Something about controlling behavior? I nearly laughed. Controlling? Me? I'm the guy who fixed her Jeep brakes at 2 a.m. Who covered her share of the mortgage when she went back to school for a certificate she never finished. Who kept her secret about the panic attacks, even when she screamed at me in the kitchen for leaving the wrong almond milk in the fridge. But fine. If that's the game she wanted, smear and spin, then so be it. See, Rachel always had a talent for storytelling. She could cry on cue. Wrap guilt around people like a blanket. And people wanted to believe her. She looked fragile. Sad. Trapped in a marriage to a man who didn't support her ambitions. Funny thing is, I did support her. I just didn't support her extracurriculars with my coworker's zipper. She told our mutual friends I'd gotten dark after leaving the fire service. That I was obsessed with control, jealous, erratic. She mentioned my anxiety, which I'd openly managed for years, as proof I was mentally unstable. What's wild is it worked. People started pulling away. And the more I stayed silent, the more they assumed it was true. But what she didn't know, I wasn't just staying quiet. I was building. See, I never throw the first punch. But I do keep receipts. Our shared laptop, the one we used for taxes, grocery lists, her volunteer calendar, had a sync desktop. She didn't know I had a copy of that sync stored on a remote backup. Or that I'd written a simple script to log chat history anytime she signed into her messaging apps on that laptop. I had every late-night conversation she thought she deleted. Every Zoom call she labeled career mentoring, That lasted exactly 46 minutes and ended with, "See you in the woods tomorrow, handsome." I had voice memos too, one where she joked to a friend about keeping me in the dark just a little longer until she figured out custody. Guess she forgot the mic was still on. And then there was Tim. Mister, just trying to help around the office. Turns out he wasn't very tech savvy. Left his cloud account logged in on the shared device once. 2 folders, one labeled Trip Planning, which, to be fair, did include topographic maps. The other? R docs. Not work documents. I'll let you guess what the R stood for. I didn't go digging for revenge. I went looking for truth. But what I found, let's just say, I had enough to burn every bridge they tried to cross. She wanted to paint me as unstable? Okay. Let's talk about the time she texted Tim. "He's breaking but still hasn't snapped. Just a matter of time." Or the time she Googled how to build a legal case for emotional abuse, while literally sending him heart emojis and screenshots of my grocery list. I kept it all organized, time-stamped, quiet, didn't post, didn't rant. But when the grant committee asked why I'd missed a check-in meeting and Rachel had voiced concerns about my capacity, I sent a very polite email, attached a couple of call logs, a few lines of chat. That was enough. Got a reply in under 2 hours. "We regret the confusion. Your application is still under consideration." Tim's boss at the SR station got a similar packet, anonymously of course. Just enough to suggest maybe they should look into his use of department resources. Especially that time they logged official mileage for training and ended up at a spa in Helena. I didn't take them down. Not yet. But I pulled the mask off. Let people see what I saw. And once the cracks are visible, they only get wider. The email came at 2:13 a.m. Subject line: "We need to talk." Body: "Your brother-in-law and my wife are sleeping together. Thought you should know." No signature. Just a burner address. No emoji. No threats. Just facts. I stared at the screen for a full minute. Then I got up, made coffee, and sat in the dark kitchen while the dog stared at me like, "Dude, it's Tuesday." An hour later, I wrote back, "Assuming you're Sarah, Tim's wife. If I'm wrong, this is going to be a really awkward reply. If I'm right, yeah. Let's talk." 15 minutes later, I had a location, a diner off the highway, 11 a.m. Very public. Smart girl. She looked just like I remembered, but different. Sharper. Tired. The kind of tired that doesn't come from work or kids, but from betrayal. We didn't waste time. "Rachel?" she asked. "Yeah." "And Tim?" She nodded. I knew for a while. Not everything, but enough. Then she slid a folder across the table. Inside, bank statements, travel stubs, a few phone logs. "He booked a cabin last winter. Told me it was a leadership retreat. She was there." I matched the dates. Rachel had said she was helping her aunt recover from surgery. Nice touch. Then she looked me dead in the eye. "You still love her?" I didn't answer right away. Because what do you say to that? I used to. I loved the version of her that laughed at my dumb bear jokes. The one who texted me photos of sunsets while I was on shift and called it our sky. But that version? She packed up and left long before I did. "I love who I thought she was," I finally said. Sarah nodded. "Same." Turns out she'd been running her own quiet investigation. And she was good? Better than me, honestly. While I'd been playing defense, she was already setting traps. She had audio clips, emails, even a shared calendar they forgot to hide, full of strategy meetings and training hikes. My favorite? a line item that just said, "R plus T, Friday night. Get wine." She leaned in and said something I'll never forget. "We don't need to burn their lives down. They already lit the match. We just aim the fire." I found myself half smiling. Not out of joy, hell no. But because for the first time in weeks, I wasn't alone in the wreckage. We started comparing notes. Her lawyer was already prepping financial disclosures. Tim had started draining an investment account. She was going after him hard. I mentioned Rachel's smear campaign. She laughed. "She's saying you're unstable? Tim told his boss I have postpartum psychosis. Our youngest is 5. We clinked coffee cups like it was champagne. By the end of the meeting, we had something stronger than proof. We had a plan. They thought we were broken. They thought we'd fade quietly, disappear. But now, they had 2 very calm, very pissed off people with joint custody of the truth. And if they thought the affair was the end of the story? Oh no. It was just intermission. There's a strange kind of peace that comes after the shock wears off. You stop crying. You stop yelling in the shower. And you start making spreadsheets. I'm not even kidding. I made a damn spreadsheet. Sarah and I met every few days. Always low-key. Always off-grid. Diner. Trailhead. The back porch of her uncle's cabin. We brought laptops, burner phones, and snacks. She liked salted pretzels. I stuck with coffee and beef jerky. We were turning into our own little task force, part FBI, part Dateline, part bitter exes with nothing left to lose. It started simple, mileage logs. Tim was a stickler for claiming per diem on every training retreat. Thing is, he was sloppy. Claimed mileage to a wilderness conference that didn't exist. I cross-referenced the GPS logs from his rescue vehicle. He never left the county. Then, there were the receipts. Rachel had used our shared Amex to buy a $400 bottle of wine. Said it was for a donor event. Funny. No donor ever showed up in the calendar. But guess who was working late that night? Sarah found emails. So many emails. Tim had set up a dummy Gmail account. Classy, right? Except he reused the same 3 passwords for everything. Took her 2 tries to get in. They talked like high schoolers. "I miss you. Last night was magic. Think he suspects anything?" They weren't just unfaithful. They were cocky. That was their mistake. My move was more subtle. I applied for a position in a non-profit tied to the Montana Outdoor Trust, the group Rachel was trying to partner with. She pitched them as a liaison. Promised a big grant proposal. I got the job in 2 weeks. Apparently they liked ex-firefighters with logistics backgrounds and excellent discretion. I kept my head down. Learned the org. Took note of her contacts. Turns out, Rachel had been helping Tim's department pad reports. Fake outreach numbers. Ghost volunteer hours. All to justify a budget bump that never reached the actual team. The deeper we dug, the dirtier it got. Sarah found one of Tim's old co-workers who said he'd seen Rachel and Tim taking naps in the gear trailer during weekend drills. Another guy admitted they skipped 2 safety audits by forging signatures. This wasn't just betrayal. This was fraud. I started keeping a journal. Every login. Every file copy. Every shared drive I accessed. The goal wasn't revenge. Not anymore. It was leverage. Insurance. Firepower, if they tried to take us down with them. One night, Sarah called me at 1 a.m. "I found something," she said. I could hear her shaking. "They applied for a private foundation grant using my name, my resume, even my signature." She emailed the PDF. There it was. Her name at the bottom of a $50,000 proposal. Filed 2 weeks after they started sleeping together. I didn't say anything for a minute. Then I said, "Well, I guess we're not just dealing with cheaters anymore." She exhaled. "Yeah, we're dealing with criminals." And still, we stayed quiet. We let them believe they were in control. Let them laugh behind our backs. Let them tell their little stories. Because the thing about a landslide is, it always starts with just one crack. But once it moves, there's no stopping it. And this thing was about to come down hard. There's a moment, right before a controlled burn, when everyone steps back. Not out of fear, out of respect. Because once the fire starts, it doesn't stop until it's done. That's exactly where we were. Standing at the edge, match in hand. The Rescue Awards Gala was always a big deal in our county. Small town, but full of pride. Dress shirts, cheap wine, plaques with names burned into wood. A little speech here, a tribute there. Most of it was fluff, but people showed up. Donors, media, retired chiefs. Rachel loved it. She had this whole routine. Soft blue dress, glass of Merlot, the smile she saved for when people were watching. Tim was usually there too. Some years, they even presented awards together. Cute, right? This year, Sarah and I arrived together. Not holding hands. Not making a scene. Just calmly. I wore my old uniform jacket. Sarah looked like she was headed to court. Clean lines, zero emotion. Heads turned. Whispers started. They weren't used to seeing us in the same room. Not anymore. The room was decorated with posters from past missions, group photos, press clippings, cheesy slogans like, "Trust in the team," and "Honor in the climb." Funny how those hit different when you know half the people smiling were lying through their teeth. We took our seats. Third row. Dead center. Right in their line of sight. Rachel saw us first. Her smile dropped. Tim followed her gaze and froze like a deer in a spotlight. I gave them a nod. Just a polite silent evening. Now, here's the fun part. The final segment of the night? A new tradition. Moments in service. Someone always compiled videos of the year's operations. Training drills. Rescue highlights. This time, the committee asked me to help. Said they trusted my judgment. So, I did. They dimmed the lights. The projector fired up. It started simple. A snow rescue, a river pull, a forest evac. Then came a clip. 2 people sneaking into the gear trailer. Different camera angle. Same 2, kissing behind the admin cabin. You could hear the room shift. Chairs creaked. Forks stopped midair. Another clip. Audio from a call-in between Tim and Rachel. Her voice. "We just have to make it through the ceremony. Then we can figure out how to break it to them." His voice. "They're not that smart. We'll play innocent." Pause. Cut to black. Then, a message in white text. "Trust is earned. So is justice." Logo of the department. Fade out. Lights up. Silence. No one moved. No one coughed. Even the air felt frozen. Sarah sat perfectly still. I just looked straight ahead. Chief Monroe, bless his 30-year-old boots, walked up to the mic, face pale. "We, seem to have had a technical issue. Let's take a short break." People didn't move. They whispered. Looked around. One guy in the back muttered, "That was Tim, right? And Rachel?" Another, "Did you know about this?" And then, finally, someone clapped. One clap. Then 2. Soon, a chunk of the room stood up and applauded. Not for them. For the truth. Tim stormed out first. Rachel followed, eyes wide, lips tight. She looked at me once, not with anger, with fear. The fallout would come soon. Statements, firings, damage control. But in that moment, Sarah and I just stood together. No speeches. No confrontation. No drama. Because when the mask slips, you don't need to scream. You just let the fire do its work. They say when a rope finally snaps, it never breaks where it looks the weakest. It breaks where the tension built up, quiet, invisible, until it couldn't take one more pull. That week, the rope snapped. Tim was suspended within 48 hours. The department called it an internal ethics review, but everyone knew what that meant. Rachel tried to spin it, of course. Said the video was deeply edited, taken out of context. Even implied it was a setup. But nobody was buying it. Especially not the board. Especially not after they found her personal laptop synced with department servers. And inside? Edited grant forms. Duplicate equipment receipts. A folder marked personal photos, which turned out to be anything but. The emails told their own story. Timesheets that didn't match GPS data. Overtime shifts that didn't exist. Trips for training that conveniently lined up with weekend hotel reservations. The department launched a full audit. Then the grant committee got involved. Then the state. By Friday, both of them were officially terminated pending investigation. And just like that, the badges came off. The access code stopped working. Their names vanished from the team roster. A few of our old colleagues tried to stay neutral. "Let's not take sides," they said. "It's a private matter." Sure. Until the audit letters landed on their desks too. Then the silence became distance. And the distance became absence. Funny how quickly a circle gets smaller when no one wants to burn with you. Sarah and I? We didn't celebrate. Not really. We'd already been through the fire. This was just the smoke clearing. The custody hearings were surprisingly calm. Rachel didn't contest. Too much heat. Too many eyes watching. Her lawyer barely showed effort. Probably just wanted to settle fast before more dirt came out. Tim had no legal standing over Sarah's kids anyway. Still, the judge brought the gavel down hard. Full physical and legal custody awarded to Robert Harrison and Sarah Whitman. Simple. Clean. Unanimous. Later that night, I sat out on the deck. Kids already asleep. Sarah inside, probably reading. And me? I was just breathing. Not thinking about revenge. Not playing back old conversations. Not even wondering what Rachel and Tim were doing. I didn't care. Because whatever came next for them, lawyers, fines, job hunts, public shame, wasn't mine to manage. The weight was off my shoulders. Chains gone. Silence restored. And for the first time in a long, long time, I finally felt free. One cold October evening my phone buzzed. "I'm sorry. For everything. I miss us." No photo. Just a name, Rachel. After weeks of silence, she finally broke it. I didn't reply. Just hit block. Then set the phone back down. It became a pattern. Every week or so, another message. Sometimes a voice note. Crying. Rambling. Telling me he meant nothing. Telling me we can still fix this. One time, a handwritten card in the mailbox. "I miss you. Remember our trip to Glacier?" I remembered. Just not like she did. Then came the photo. Rachel, standing in a tiny kitchen, the kind that comes with low-rent apartments and thin walls. No makeup. Circles under her eyes. Caption read, "I know I deserve this, but it still hurts." Her Instagram's been quiet. A few mutual friends say she's working odd jobs, delivery apps, part-time assistant on volunteer training courses. She's living with some cousin in a place where the pipes freeze before Halloween. And me? I didn't smear her name. Didn't rage post or drag her through the mud. I just vanished from her world. Moved south, closer to the Bitterroot Range. Took a private contract gig. Crisis Ops Consulting, Rescue Protocol Training, the real deal calls no one wants. I'm also writing a book. Not a memoir. Not a tell-all. A field guide. Human factors in extreme response. Real stories. Real tools. How to stay sane while holding everyone else's life together. Turns out, I know something about that. Sarah's doing well too. Started a foundation for rescue families, especially the ones that went through burnout or betrayal. She landed a grant. The kids are steady now. No yelling. No slammed doors. Just peace. Sometimes, I remember how Rachel used to storm into a room yelling, "You never listened to me." And I think I did. I was always listening. I just wasn't the story she wanted to tell. So no, I never answered. Not to the guilt. Not to the tears. Not to the, "Maybe we can try again." Because when someone sets fire to your life, you learn how warm it feels when they're no longer near it. It's been a year. The kind of year that ages you. But in the way a mountain does. Not broken. Just shaped. Solid. I live in Utah now. Small cabin. Big sky. Lake view out back. Enough trees to hear the wind argue with itself. Got a rescue dog, blue heeler mix. Smarter than me and twice as stubborn. His name's Pilot. Found him half frozen under an abandoned trailer. We get along fine. Neither of us likes surprises. I work on my own terms now. Consulting for emergency ops across the West. Writing more. Teaching occasionally. Not because I need to, but because I want to. I even helped rewrite part of a regional disaster protocol this spring. Something useful. Concrete. Real impact, no politics. Feels good to be needed for what I do, not what I endured. The past? I don't revisit it often. Sometimes it shows up uninvited, like a familiar song playing in a gas station you didn't plan to stop at. I let it play. Then I leave. I don't wonder how Rachel's doing. Not in the way people mean when they say that. I'm sure she's somewhere, making excuses or memories. Probably both. And I don't wish her harm. I just don't wish her anything at all. That part of the story is over. Closed. Done. Funny thing is, I'm grateful now. Not for the betrayal. Not for the mess. But for the jolt it gave me. She didn't just leave me. She launched me. Out of my own denial. Out of a life I'd been surviving instead of living. Sometimes it takes losing everything you thought you wanted to finally build what you actually need. So here I am. Mornings start with strong coffee, stronger wind, and Pilot barking at deer like he's got a shot. Evenings end with a fire, a journal, and the sound of water brushing the shore. Every once in a while, someone asks me if I've moved on. I just smile. I didn't move on. I moved up. To higher ground. Where the air is clean. And the past is just weather.